Hi, everybody. This is Saad. Hope that you're doing well. I wanted to provide you with a summary of the guests that I've so far had on my show, on my exclusively airing show on PodTV. Please go to the Apple Store, download the Pod TV app, or you could also watch or listen to my show on Omni, and then it's being then streamed to other podcast platforms. It's called The Sad Truth with Dr. Saad. This is not to be confused with my existing show, the one that I've been posting on YouTube and the one that I've been posting podcast clips for the past year. These clips will still take place, but long format chats starting last month are exclusively available via PodTV. So my first three guests that have now been posted on the platform, on the PodTV platform, I have the list right here. So the first guest was Professor Amy Chua, who is a professor at Yale University, professor of law. She's written many great books, but perhaps most famously her book, Tiger Mom. So you really want to check out our chat. She's a fantastic scholar and also a real honey badger. So check out our chat. My second chat was with another honey badger, Christopher Rufo, who is the anti-critical race theory guru now. He's doing fantastic groundwork trying to combat all of the idea pathogens associated with CRT. And then a chat that just was uploaded today on the PodTV platform and will air on the podcast, I think, next Monday, is with Dean Cain, the famous actor and former great football player. He played, some of you may remember, in the 1990s, Superman, the role of Superman. Unbelievable guy, such a sweet, classy, warm, affable gentleman. So great chat. We talked about all sorts of things. Football, our love for Barry Sanders, and our love for Alvin Kamara, the running back. We talked about U.S. presidents, about being a conservative in Hollywood, all sorts of amazing things. So check that out. The week after, the Dean Cain episode airs, will be a chat that I held with Lovia, who is a former porn star. I appeared on her show a few months ago when my book was released, and I now invited her on my new podcast. We talked about both the personal and scientific aspects of the porn industry. So really interesting stuff there. How is it for her to be a porn star and be in a long-term relationship? Most men are not typically very excited about the idea of their ladies, having sex with other men, let alone having sex with other men where a million other men can see. So we talked about all these really interesting and personal topics, but of course from a very, respectful perspective. She's a fantastic woman and she's got a great show herself. So check that out. And now these are the upcoming. So these now have already taped and banked 8 additional shows that, will be released one a week. So I'll just go in the order in which they were taped. The next guest is Dr. Joran Adamson. He's been on my show in the past, about 4 or 5 years ago. He just came out with a book called Masochistic Nationalism, if I'm remembering the title correctly. So we get into all sorts of really, really interesting sociological, political stuff. He's a very, very interesting guy. So a really in-depth academic conversation, but that's, accessible to all. No unnecessary technical jargon and so on. So check it out. He's a great sociologist, certainly anti-woke. You want to check out that chat. Then I brought on Andrew Gutman. Some of you may not know who this is. This is the parent, the honey badger parent, who had his daughter at Brearley, which is one of those highfalutin, super posh New York, K-12 schools, if I remember correctly. I think it's K-12. His daughter was in elementary school, but they were teaching all the CRT stuff, the critical race theory stuff, all that nonsense, all the anti-white stuff. So he wrote this incredibly eloquent and poignant and powerful letter to the administration, and then he took out his daughter. And so we had a wonderful chat about, activism. I mean, he wasn't a guy who was in the public eye, and yet he decided he wanted to do whatever he could to combat this. Great guy, new friend. Check out that chat. Then I had Buck Sexton. Some of you may know him. He's a former CIA employee, but also someone who has had a very successful media career. He's now, I think, with Clay. I think his name is Clay Travis. They are now co-hosting the radio show that was left vacant by the passing of Rush Limbaugh. So he's going on to really new heights. Great guy. We talk about things like, well, of course, all the woke stuff, but also what are the characteristics that are needed to be a successful media personality and so on. Very, very good conversation. And then Patrick Rayden Keefe. He's an investigative journalist who also writes for the New Yorker. He wrote a great book. Check this out. I have it right here for you. Empire of Pain. This is the story of the Sackler family, the family that owned Purdue Pharma, and who was they were heavily involved with the opioid crisis. So incredible conversation. Great guy. He's a lawyer by training, but a writer by profession. Another lovely, fascinating guy. I mean, it's just amazing for me to do this show. I just get to sit back, bring on these incredible guests with great talents in all sorts of spheres, of human domains, and just have fun, just chat. So check that out. That will be in about 4 weeks' time. That show will drop. And then Abigail Schreier. Oh yes, Irreversible Damage. Top book from my publisher. My book is with Regnery. Her book is with Regnery. So she came on a couple of weeks ago. We talked about all the transgender issues and so on. How the transgender craze in some cases is a form of social contagion. Of course, she's gotten a lot of flack for arguing that. So you might want to check that out for all various reasons, but certainly if you're interested in the transgender issue, you don't want to miss that chat. Then, oh yes, Michael Knowles, who dislodged me from my rightful place at number one. Another Regnery author. I mean, Regnery is completely dominating the rankings because they're a publisher that doesn't cancel, that doesn't abide or adhere to the cancel culture ethos. And so a lot of people now are thinking that to go to Regnery is exactly the right place to be. And then I had an old friend and a colleague, and certainly, one of my intellectual heroes from 20 plus years ago when I got into evolutionary psychology, Professor David Buss, who wrote the following book, just came out recently, When Men Behave Badly. We had a fantastic chat about the book, but also just about evolutionary psychology in general and so on. So if you're interested in psychology in general and evolutionary theory and evolutionary psychology in particular, you don't want to miss that chat. And then finally, tomorrow I'll be taping my 12th show, since I got together in this exclusive deal with the PodTV. It's with Professor Fyodor Urnov. He is a biologist at Berkeley who is an important researcher on the CRISPR technology. CRISPR is the new gene editing technology that is showing a lot of promise, but of course it raises all sorts of bioethical issues. And so we're going to drill down and what is CRISPR? What are the ethical issues involved with CRISPR? I discovered Professor Urnov on a documentary called Human Nature, and as soon as I watched that very gripping documentary, I thought, I got to speak to this guy, and he was kind enough to accept my invitation. So tomorrow we'll be doing this. And finally, I just wanted to apologize. In the first few episodes that were posted, the Amy Chua, Christopher Rufo, I'm not sure if the Dean Cain one also has a bit of the audio problems. There was an audio problem stemming, not to put blame, but stemming from the side of the guests. for various reasons. Either there was an echo, or the microphone wasn't picking up well, or it was caught, creating static. And so we are starting tomorrow's show. I'll be, instead of using Skype, I'll be using a platform that was suggested to me by PodTV called Riverside. So hopefully this will equalize and improve the audio quality. Although I had, I've taped over the past 6-7 years well over 200 long format chats on my show, on the Sad Truth, and they typically weren't these types of audio problems, but there you have it. People want to be able to have a fantastic listening experience, and so we're doing our best to correct the audio difficulties. So again, a lot of new shows, and these will be dropping once a week, the long format chats, and eventually, if you guys keep supporting me, keep watching, if the numbers suggest that we can move from 1 to 2 shows a week, we might end up doing that. So please go to PodTV at the App Store or anywhere else where these apps are available. Download it and start watching. Subscribe and start watching. Or you can go to this the Sad Truth with Dr. Gad Saad, which is the new name of the exclusive show, and listen to it there. So there you have it. This gives you a bit of a synopsis of what you can expect on my upcoming shows. Please support the show in any way that you can, so that, as I said, the numbers can continue to grow, and hopefully I can provide you with an increasing number of conversations per week. Have a great week, everybody, whatever is left of the week, or have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.